Hi, my name is Jackie Norito. My company is JDN Cosmetics. My website is jdncosmetics.com, and today we're going to be demonstrating the Smokey Eye. I have my lovely model Kathleen, and today we're going to be demonstrating how to take it from a natural to a smoky look using approximately 3 different eyeshadow shades. So we have a beautiful eye here. Her eye color is obviously in the greenish hazel. We're going to bring that out as much as we can, and we're going to do it step by step. Starting with a dark eyeliner. We're going to be using a black eyeliner. I like to do eyeliner first because that places where the liner goes. We can always re-go over it later instead of making a mess later on. If we make a mistake, we like to establish that line. So starting, close your eyes please, we're going to take her eyeliner in short little strokes, and if you notice, her face has already been prep, treated, and primed, which means she's been moisturized. She has her foundation, blush, and lipstick on, so we're just focusing on the eye color. Short strokes, we never want to go outside the brow line. We always want to stay in check. I never like to concern myself with straight lines because you can always make a mistake. I can always fix that with a powder of a matching shade to go over that and fill in. We want clean lines. Always remember clean lines. Okay, moving along to the other side. Always starting at the lash line, working in the middle. Slowly moving my pointed pencil. You can even use a liquid liner if you like, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And I'm just following her natural line. Always keep the line thin to thick. That's the best way to do it. I'm going to take some powder on this side. And we're going to clean up anything that seems choppy, just making sure that lid is nice and clean before we put our shadow on. The tough part about liner is sometimes getting into the inner corner. So open your eyes, Kathleen, look down and look that way. Always have your client look the opposite way. That's the easiest way to get in there without making it too smudgy. Look towards me, please, and down. Beautiful. So now the eyeliner is established. If we make a mistake or get powder on it later, we can always re-go over that. Now we're going to go into the shadows. Closing, please. Rule of thumb is always to start with a nice light highlighting shadow. I'm going to work with a very soft beigey pink tone and with a stippling effect, which kind of means like a pressing effect. I'm going to get the color onto the eye so it layers itself, so you actually see some color. You want to see your colors, that's a key. Because if you're going to build a smoky eye from here, you have to have somewhere to go. So that's her light shade being applied all over the lid. I'm dusting away any fallout that might happen. Now we're going to move into a middle color. I'm going to take something in the earthier shades, a little mix of browns here, and I'm going to just apply that on her lower lid very lightly, because the true smokiness comes from the third color, which is the crease color, which we'll be doing in about a minute. Now, one of the things that tends to happen when we do our own makeup or when we do other people's makeup is we get what's known as fallout that I mentioned before. And that's very common. It's shadow that tends to sprinkle down onto the skin. You want to make sure you stay on top of the cleaning process so it doesn't embed itself into the foundation and the blush. So one way to do that is with a fan brush. And another great way is with a dry Q-tip. Just push it away. Just try to gather up whatever comes down. Sometimes people like to add more foundation to it. I don't recommend doing that. Open your eyes, Kathleen, look up. I like to clean periodically in this manner because I just find later on you have less mess and less work you have to cover up. Okay? So right now we've got the two colors on the eye. Already the eye is looking brighter. We're always going for height and lift. Always defying gravity, always lifting. Even though she has a younger face, that rule of thumb still applies. So now we're going to go into the third color, also known as the crease color. And I'm going to use my sponge, and this was the sponge we applied Kathleen's foundation with, almost as a stencil or a base, to not only catch fallout, but to stay true to the natural shape of her eye. This is a great trick you can do at home. So I'm going to take a little bit of a darker brown here, and close your eyes, and always starting your dark color at the lash line where you did the liner. It's easier to blend up than to blend down, because once a dark color goes on the eye, dark colors are very highly concentrated, so it'll be a little bit tougher to blend at that point. And noticing using the sponge here as the guide, I'm getting less mess, less fallout, and a true shape. That shape now conforms. I can always clean that up, but we're slowly establishing a darker shade here. Always layer your colors. It's easier to add than subtract. Always remember that. Same thing on the other side. And I'm always applying my colors inward rather than outward, because if you go outward you tend to get fallout in that area, and that's a little bit more difficult to clean up. So light blending here. And tools are very important. Brushes are extremely important, so make sure you're always using good quality brushes. Natural hair brushes, goat hair brushes, they sell them everywhere. The more you spend, the better quality they are, and you'll always have a better makeover because they pick up color nicer. Okay, you're going to dust a little bit. So open your eyes, Kathleen. Look how pretty that looks on her. Now this is considered a smoky look, but I can take this a little bit more now, going a little bit darker, so I'm going to show you how we smoke this up even more. And we have somewhere to go. We've already established the look here, so now we can add to this. If she liked it just like this, we could leave it like this, but let's show you how it looks a little bit more dramatic. Closing. Placing my sponge. And now what I'm doing is I'm really taking a darker color. I'm even adding a little bit of a different color to this now. I'm working with an earthy kind of gray green. It's going to incorporate itself really nicely with these earth tone shades, and it's just going to give it that extra kick to make it really pop. Open. Look at the difference there. Now what you have is a little bit more of an intensity in that corner, and her natural green in her eye is really, really showing up. And when we finish everything, we'll clean up the bottom there, but that's just to show you what that looks like. And notice I'm using a tinier tapered brush for this. This is an excellent brush. Something that's small like this really places the color where you want it, and it allows you to kind of work it. Remember, you want to work the brush. Don't let it work you. Doing the same thing on the other side. And you can always take your sponge. Your sponge is a very important tool because the sponge can actually help to blend and even things out also. But again, we don't want to overshoot her natural brow line. Now we're going to do some cleanup. Look up at the ceiling, Kathleen. Just brushing away anything that falls. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of my concealer, being that we pretty much cleaned up everything already. I'm just going over any little spots here just to brighten underneath. Remember, we want the attention up. If the eye area looks too dark underneath, all the attention is going to come down. Whether you're doing a natural makeover or a smoky makeover, the same rules apply. You've got to keep everything clean and tapered. Always a nice flow. You want to be able to walk around the whole face, take a look at everything that's going on, not just focus on one thing. So that's what we're doing here. Look up at the ceiling. Now we're going to add a little bit of color for her underneath her eye. Just want to fix this up just a little bit here. Beautiful. It helps that I have a beautiful model too. Look up. So now we're going to take a little color, a matching liner shade underneath her eyes. This is a great trick for people who have a lot of problems with liner running. This happens to most women. One of the tricks is to use something that has less wax. I like to use a powder shadow of a matching color. You will achieve the same look, but you'll have less of the running. Look up at the ceiling. And I'm only taking her color a quarter of the way. You have the option of taking it all the way across. Generally with a very smoky eye, you see color all the way. But because I'm dealing with a very lighter skin tone, I don't want so much focus to come down because it defeats what we were talking about before. We still want the height and lift. So I don't want it too stark. And again, I'm using my sponge as a guide so I don't overdo it. Look up one more time. And look at me. Beautiful. If you're someone who likes to have color going all the way across the eye, a little trick here to give you that same look but soften it down so you see a graduation of color is to now take a shadow of a lighter shade and bring it all the way across. So now you have light to dark. So that'll give you the illusion of that it's finished all the way across if that's what you're used to, and you still get the best of both worlds. So let's try that on Kathleen. Look up. I'm using a shadow that's in the earthy tones, reminiscent of what we did on her lid earlier, so it's a constant flow. And she still looks beautiful and natural. And now what we need to do is just add a little mascara. Look up at the ceiling. Down. I like to use these little tools for mascara so we don't mess up all the great work we just did. Look straight ahead, please. She has beautiful long lashes to begin with, so we're just hitting these a little bit. Look up. Anything that falls down. And there you have a smoky eye